So shouldn't be alive. Okay, well, we were going through a season break. What are we doing right now here, man?
It's a special episode which comes in between the season. We haven't done that earlier, have we?
Yes, so it also correlates to some recent interesting interactions I had with my wife. She was like, Nikhil, it seems that long shots is quite underrepresented when it comes to having women guests. And I was like, is that true? And then I started looking at our track record. It's not by design, but it is factually correct.
Yeah, it's a little bent towards more male representatives, right?
Yes, but in order to correct that, what better month to kick that off than March? 8th of March, International Women's Day, just went by yesterday. And this month is, I think, supposed to be like a Women's Month.
Yeah, it's International Women's Month, and so we are using this opportunity to put in an episode.
Yes, debunk the myth. And we have now 2 back-to-back episodes with women entrepreneurs / professionals.
Yeah, one's today and the next one's next week.
Yeah, so hope the guys and girls listening in enjoy the show. Take care. Hello, folks. Hi, Sharad. How's it going, man?
It's going very good, and I'm very excited today, as always.
Yes, sir, you are. And are you excited by looking at your Twitter feed this morning? I recently recall that you were quite disappointed with the way Twitter is heading.
Yeah, it's become an echo chamber of disappointment of late.
Yes.
So I'm trying to regulate it at my own level.
Yeah.
Maybe news curation helps, right?
Right. How are you regulating it?
Manually.
You mean like you Google if something is fake news before you post it?
Oh yeah, and I think I've made a conscious effort to do some deep dive before even reading something now.
Right,
so adding layers of complication to my life, man, I don't like it.
The onus is now on you, Sharad.
The onus is on me.
To make sure that nothing provocative comes out from your feed unintentionally. Well, today is a pretty exciting episode. We have with us Divya Gupta, founder and CEO of Dialogue Room. Divya is a lawyer by training.
Yes, corporate lawyer.
Corporate lawyer. She was in Shardal Amarchand Mangaldas. Before that, she was in Khaitan. She studied in the UK, so there's a bit of common link there.
Yeah.
At Queen Mary. My wife actually studied in Queen Mary.
No, really.
No way.
Yeah.
It's a very cool college.
Yeah. And Divya, welcome to Long Shots. How's it going?
All good. Good day. Yes. Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. And, I'll start from the start. Obviously, we did some cutting edge research about Dialogue Room. We went through your LinkedIn profile. We went through your website. We clicked every page to see if we can, figure out
more people who know about Dialogue Room.
what exactly is going on there. But I mean, what really interested myself was that I saw 3 big tabs on your site: events, experts, and coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you just give a bit of a brief on I know that it's an ed tech platform,
right,
but the ed part is not the conventional ed.
No.
It's
we call it modern education or
Yeah.
almost modern media.
Right.
If you see any ed tech on like Byju's or whatever they're doing well, you'll see mostly it's school or college that
Right.
people focus on. And as soon as I tell people education, they go like, oh, okay, what class? Or are you focusing on children
Yeah.
or whatever? But my idea was, why does education need to stop after college? Right? I did very humble schooling. I did public schools and all. So I didn't actually learn anything from my schooling.
Right.
When I was working with these law firms and all, I realized, okay, my lawyers didn't know basics of investment. I kid you not. They didn't even know. None of us had, even a money in a mutual fund. We were like, oh, insider trading regulations. Like, no, insider trading regulations only kick in if you do like stock market, right? And then when I spoke to like normal people who are starting startups or young businessmen or a couple of my friends who are taking like over their dad's companies, I was like, okay, basics of a confidentiality agreement. I was like, sorry, we just give it to our lawyer who charges us a bomb for it.
Right.
It's like, okay, is your freelancer writing a confidentiality agreement? Probably not.
Right.
So I just found this gap in knowledge, okay? And I will call it education because you can't learn everything in your school and college days. And post-college and your first jobs, what if you weren't very happy with how you were educated?
Right.
Okay, or what if you want to learn a bit more? What if you want to upskill your game? What if you want to change your career? There's a lot that even happens post the age of 22, 23. Till I would say maybe for the rest of your life. I know people who've started startups at 45, right? Why stop there? So that is why I myself realized that shit, even I don't know basics of investment and I call myself a corporate lawyer, right? We do SSAs and SPAs on a daily basis, but I don't have a portfolio. That's sad.
Right.
So that's where the product idea came from. And I want to call it edtech, even though it's not school and college, because it's okay to still want education
Right.
after a certain age. I
Right.
do not have money for an MBA. I will not go for one.
Right.
And so that whole building of a business community, the networking, the direct access to these experts, and the coaching bit, which is also the revenue making part of it. We're not a pure content site
Right.
giving you content on business finance. We
Right.
want to focus on that one-on-one things. When you need help, you come to me, we figure out the right path for you. I tell you, okay, you need to speak to these CEOs because this is where you'll probably...
Why did finance as a subject sort of interest you? Is this because you saw a gap from personal experience? Because at Transfin we also have a very massive bent towards finance, right?
Okay, I'll give you two things. First, I saw a lot of gap with women finance. Okay, so I do a lot of like women focused finance events because I just feel you're either dependent on your partner or your father in India especially. And this is coming from stats guys, please, And secondly, it was more on, it's just honestly face to face, it's just a wide enough term for me to cover a lot in it.
Sure.
But not focus on wealth management or just focus on stock trading or focus on a particular kind of finance. Business and finance, it's sort of the idea that it gives to someone is if a 16-year-old will come on my platform, they'd be like, oh, this is not for me.
Right.
But business and finance, it sort of just resonates well with the business community at large because those are your two key skills you need to know, business and finance.
Right.
It works together. It's
Right.
sort of like a marriage,
Right.
a good
Right.
marriage.
But I mean, it's so. From what I understand, is that like you mentioned the word mentorship. You also mentioned events.
Yeah.
And then you spoke about coaching.
Right.
Right. And I guess there are lots of buckets in
Buckets,
which
yeah,
these
lots of
things
products.
fit in.
Yeah.
Right. So, is this by design? In the sense that like coaching is like a more fundamental money for monetizing.
Definitely. That's the
avenue you
revenue
have, and the
product.
other two are like
Even events is
complementary.
revenue.
Right.
But think of events as 30 people in an auditorium learning something. So we stop actually our events. People can't come after we sell around the 30th or the 40th.
Okay.
Because I feel the learning goes away. We want to still actually focus on the learning.
Right.
The coaching is just more one-on-one. Honestly, it's very personal. If
Right.
someone comes to me, and mostly I see career changers, a lot of lawyers who come to me going, look, I went out of NLU and I don't want to be a lawyer, or like someone with a very strong engineering background. So right now, my recent hire in Dialogue Room, she's a fashion student,
Right.
but she's working for me because her aesthetics are so strong.
Right.
And that helps in a content sort of company. And even she didn't realize that.
Right.
So it's about letting that sort of go, that thing in India, that firstly lawyer, doctor, engineer. Then you have to even do that path, even if you don't like that path. Bollywood makes us believe that, our parents make us believe that. And a lot of people are just saw that career changing is just seen as a little negative.
Right.
And a little like at 30 you've decided to do this. Rather than, oh my god, at 30 you're doing this.
Yeah.
That's not there, and it's
Right.
just sort of helping those one-on-one people who I meet at these events
Right.
or who see my content and go
Right.
like, I'm doing this, but I want to reach here.
Right.
So then I work on them one-on-one, and then when I realize the field, what field they're at, if that's a good field for them, and then I introduce them to the network that I possess. That I go like, okay, you want to work in education? Let's speak to 4 people in the education industry. Don't just say I want to work in the education. So they'll have those one-on-one calls where they'll actually realize maybe education is not for me after
Right.
that. But I'll actually introduce them to those right people who they can have a very honest conversation with.
So the
which is
idea
very
is
hard to...
so idea is to actually get links with professionals.
Yes,
in
and
that
after
domain.
that, I give them the numbers of these people.
Right.
So you don't need to come back to me going,
Right.
if you're speaking to someone in Sri Ram, great. Keep that conversation going if you're serious about this, they'll help you more than I would.
And so creating that ecosystem of professionals is sort of key, right? To sort of leverage on your expertise here. So how do you go about that? Are they sort of organically, you find them through your business
Yes.
platform, or is there an actual sales outreach team, or sort of how do you, because the strength lies there, right?
Yeah, that is true. That's a strong question, and I am part of 1 or 2 like business communities myself. So that helps with sort of already having that network. Plus, I have actually worked in 2 of the largest law firms of India.
Sure, yeah.
Then I've studied in the UK in one of the sort of those Ivy Leagues, you call them UK Ivy Leagues,
Yeah.
right? So I have access to the Ivy network, kind of those in India and those sort of people. And honestly, I have always been that kind of people. So I'll give you an example. I was in Vail, Colorado. Okay, I was rafting. My parents are on the raft chilling, looking at everything. I was just speaking to the rafter dude for 1 hour. And I found out so much about him, where he's from. He was a guy who used to work in Merrill Lynch.
Right.
And he's on my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You know, I've just always been that kind of person who really had a lot of dialogue and conversations and
Right.
all. So I've really built this very strong, and I don't want to call network, because I find the word networking again a little negative.
Yeah.
But I just know people, and I speak to people, I help people, and it's just
But
sort
like,
of comes it is an organic.
But like,
Yeah.
To answer your question directly, it's been organic to connect people to
But
connect.
it's interesting that you obviously have I mean, what kind of comes across is that day-to-day interactions, when you connect with someone, you
Yeah.
kind of maintain that
Yes, I do.
relationship.
Definitely.
But that is that is the supply side of the
Yeah,
equation.
yeah.
But on the demand side of the equation, you need to then, swiftly align
Yeah.
those guys to the person you're talking to.
That's true.
How do
so
you do that
right
at
now,
scale?
coaching is small. I have only
Right.
6 to 8 clients on a daily basis.
Right.
They're more on group that come together. A lot of people, even after the first 2 sessions, because it's life coaching or career coaching, and not like the way these sort of colloquial companies do it, that they give you an aptitude test and go like,
Right.
I was told not to be a lawyer on my aptitude test with
Right.
the Chopras. But
Did it tell you to be run a dialogue room company?
no, it was more on fashion and
Okay, so it was wrong.
yeah, completely wrong.
Yeah.
So I just don't believe in all that gimmicks. I think
Right.
I find them gimmicks, and some are okay, but it's more on, they just sort of instill what you already want to know about yourself. I think that's how you answer a question. To be honest, you already kind of know where you're gauging at. A Harry Potter quiz you're doing, you know you want Hermione to come, so you'll answer it like
I mean,
that.
if you're there halfway, right, you're not a lawyer anymore. So
So that's what I was saying.
But you can't take away my bar council,
I know, but
certificate of
they
practice.
got some part of it right. don't
Okay,
you
fair
think?
enough. Okay. Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, you're right. So right now I would say I can't, elaborate so much on the demand side, but you're right. The idea is to sort of scale it as such in phase 2, that it's not just always me connecting someone on WhatsApp, because that won't work.
So it's more like, I guess that's where the entire event piece of the equation comes
Yes,
in, right? Like
yes.
you do that to get
More people
people
to
in
get.
bulk, in
Yeah,
scale.
so
and
if
then
I want
cost
someone
level.
to meet at Transfin, if I know there are a lot of people who are interested in being connected to you, I'll just do an event with you guys, right?
Right.
I'll do a B2B event with you rather than doing a
Right.
one-on-one coaching, because it helps the people who I'm coaching to, and it helps Transfin too. So it's a
Right.
win-win.
But like speaking of events, I mean, I feel especially in the last 5 to 6 years, at least the tier 1 cities in India, I mean, there's an event mania.
Yeah,
like
there is.
every
Simply
day,
Fest and all these,
every
everything.
industry body,
Everything.
every publication. I think most mainstream media houses have also realized
Yeah.
that monetizing through print or online is so challenging, so they've gone into events in a big way. How do you differentiate? It's a big
Very
challenge to
interesting
do that, right?
question. I am working within a building of a very big multimedia company.
Right.
And they themselves came up to me when they came for an event. So I collaborate with this company called Finimize,
Yeah.
which is a fintech out of London. That's how we
Yeah.
all met, right?
Yeah.
And I'm their ambassador. So I handle all their events in Delhi, per se.
Right.
Not one person who's not come to my events has come and told me that, Jesus, this was so different. There were so many takeaways. You moderated it so strongly. I can actually speak to the experts. I actually learned something. It wasn't that cliched networking over
Right.
bad coffee.
Right.
And when you say there are a lot of events exploded, yes, but they are the latter half.
I get it, yeah.
Cliched networking over
Yeah.
bad coffee. I kid
Right.
you not. There's a reason I don't let people come in after 40.
Right.
Right? There's a reason I'm doing that.
Right.
After an event, you will usually get a newsletter from us with the key
Okay.
takeaways of the event,
Okay.
with us telling that if you have any questions for our experts who came, we will then connect you to our experts.
So you close the loop.
Close the loop. We then
Right.
do a webinar with our experts.
Right.
If you have any Q&A with them. So it's closing the loop, right?
Right.
And then post the event, there is actually very strong dialogue that creates after every event, an hour at least the experts have spent speaking to everyone in the audience.
So how do you sort of see a dialogue room? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm seeing it like a multimedia media company at its core with very different
my
format.
dream is Box Media. So if anyone in this podcast is listening from anywhere in Box Media, please contact me for any inner insights.
Yeah. So
But,
that's
yeah.
sort of how you expect to
So
track.
we're launching a product in the new financial year, which will be a B2B product. Very excited about that. Which will play on our strengths. Play on the strength as me as a moderator, me as working in different sectors, me having that community reach.
Oh, good, yeah.
We have a newsletter, which would obviously be a product. And I think our videos, so say what TikTok is doing, but with actual learnings and like with people, credible people, right? So if say a Mr. Bharat Anand, he's my Xbox at Khaitan, he does a video with me of 3 minutes on your top legal things a small business needs to consider. You won't question Bharat Anand on this video, right? Because you know he's already a credible expert. It's not like someone within dialogue room, a 25-year-old, is re-encapsulating what Bharat Anand told her.
Yeah.
It is Bharat Anand telling you, boss, this is it. And you will not question that. So it's about getting those credible, those experts, like I say.
Right.
It's always knowledge and content delivered by experts.
Right.
That's our ethos.
Right.
So every Friday when we deliver something to you, be it a video or an article, it's written by a CXO or a lawyer or a psychologist or someone who's aptly trying to increase the efficiency of the business community.
Right.
So you don't have anything to question on my videos. It's not a 24-year-old writing, I'm cutting out the third party.
Yeah.
You won't read an article of Bharat Anand on a business standard on what he's saying.
Right.
When I can just give you an article by Bharat Anand.
But I mean, look, if we just take a step back and look at it from a business model perspective, I mean, events, operations heavy, content, thoughtful content takes time.
Content, yes. Events, I'll actually correct you there.
No, I mean,
Not very heavy. You get
They're not
venue
operations
for
heavy?
no. You get
Okay.
venue mostly for free.
okay,
Because people want people to come.
okay,
Usually at that 4 to 5 p.m. space when they
Yeah.
don't have people coming in.
yeah,
Right? So they give it to you for free.
Yeah.
So that's like your biggest cost done.
right,
Marketing, all social media, you're not really spending anything. People, mostly word of mouth, organic, or best is if you collaborate with a company who has outreach.
Mhm.
Say if I do a finance event, I'll come to you guys.
right.
I'm like, let's just put our 2 and 2 together. I'm bringing you the experts, I'm moderating it, I'm getting you the venue, or I'm collaborating with someone who gives me venue for free.
I think where I'm kind of coming from is that there are pure play distribution platforms.
Right.
Like you said, TikTok, right? The reason why TikTok can scale up very quickly is because TikTok is not doing any content itself, right?
Yeah.
They are just doing
Yeah, people are recording it for
they're
them.
excellent. They are kind of doing an excellent job in distributing it, but it's a UGC platform.
Agreed.
Like Twitter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like for instance, if you look at Transfin, like we have a similar challenge. We are not pure play distributors; we are
Agreed.
curators.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of insight, a bit of heavy lifting that is required
On
by
the operation standpoint.
by a
Yeah.
human person.
So
Exactly.
I can only
So-
moderate X
Yeah.
number of events.
So how do you view that versus like a typical VC coming in? Divya, where's the scale here?
That's fine. So
Or
right
that's
now,
something that you don't really.
no, firstly,
care
I
about.
right now don't need VC money. So
Right.
because I feel like organically, sort of these content or modern media platforms, you have to give them a year and a half
Of course.
to get that reach. I know right now, say in Delhi, my target audience is 10,000 people in the
Right.
business community. Okay,
Right.
by and large, those are people who will actively be interested in, and I know my market cap. So I will not put in more money, and then I'm not going to be like I'm trying to get the housewives. I'm not.
Got it.
I know what my market cap is. But if I have that market cap of 10,000 people, those valued people who are actually interested in what I'm selling or doing or giving them, would you rather go to a platform with 10,000 people where you get organically 10,000 people who are not bots, who are commenting and who you can sell a product to, versus a 50,000 platform? Then that's a decision of...
So is the idea to focus on building the brand,
Yes,
making sure that there's a
completely.
complete product market fit,
Completely.
getting a high margin business going on, and after that we can think about
We can think
other
of,
things.
maybe I can start another sector for mothers,
Right.
possibly, right?
Right.
But right now, I don't even have those 10,000 people on board.
Right.
And this is not coming from me, okay? Yes, I'm a 28-year-old. I don't have that much. This is coming from, again, experts that I've consulted on.
Mhm.
People in Lightspeed Ventures or people in media companies like Jagran and all who've told me that, look, even today when you sit here, you think Live Mint has
Yeah.
amazing circulation because you think it's so big. It doesn't. It has a very strong brand name.
Yeah.
It has around 10,000 people who are reading it, right? In today's world, 10,000 is not a lot. But for Live Mint, 10,000 is a lot.
So I mean, I guess that's pretty much how those are kind of conversations which I think me and Sharad have also had numerous amount of times in terms of opting for high engagement and the right audience who actually opens your stuff at a regular interval. So that kind of resonates a fair bit.
We always put it in like a margin versus scale trade-off.
exactly.
Do you want to chase a smaller market but a higher margin, spectrum, or do you want to sort of go the other way, chase?
I actually happened to meet Mr. Rajan Anandan for
Yeah.
lunch the other day, and
Yeah.
he said when he invests, he looks at a person or product who 50 people like that product. That's it. He wants to invest in a product that 50 people like it, and those 50 people are spending around 30 minutes a day on that product's website or something,
Right.
versus 5,500 people liking it who are sort of deleting that product in a minute or deleting the app.
Yeah.
Because what he said, if there are 50 people who can spend 30 minutes a day on that product is immense. Whereas when 5,000 people are spending a minute on it and by the end of the month are deleting it, that means it's a shit product.
Yeah, I mean, like engagement, right? I mean, people
Exactly.
want engaging products. Tell me a little bit about video. Like, it's an interesting format because it comes with its own challenges, but it comes with its own benefits, and it's something really hot right now. Like in terms of just overall, even lifestyle, entertainment, sport, content is
Yeah.
sort of, we've seen a content revolution probably in the last 6-7 years. How do you, you have a focus on video, obviously.
Yes.
Do you think that that's sort of the go-to format going
We
forward?
definitely like doing videos because firstly they're fun, like you said, and I think people in my team or the way I interact with people, it comes across strongly on video.
Yeah.
So I'm playing on my strengths here too. And secondly, I think, like you said, lot in entertainment, lot in sports, but you yourself didn't say anything in business.
Yeah.
Right, there's a gap again.
Yeah.
Right, there's PopXO, there's a Filter Copy, there are all these things, and they're doing good stuff. It's really good stuff on how to use a new mascara or movie reviews, or I ate this and I drank this and this happened. Zomato has started doing their own things. But again, there's not a lot in the business and finance sphere.
But do you get worried by attention spans? I mean, because business, I mean, by definition, it's slightly serious content, right?
Right.
It's slightly sober by its
Right.
very nature, and with rising data penetration in our country, I guess the guys who are more interested in cat videos are not your audience. I
Right,
get
of
that.
course not. Yeah.
But I mean, even when you look at your audience, I mean, what we kind of often experience is that business is a segment where getting a sticky following is very hard. But once
Sure.
you get it, they are for a
Loyal,
long period of
yeah.
time. But they still are not. Like for instance, if you get a good article, there's a good chance that you read it, you might talk about it, but whether you like it, whether you'll share it, that kind of
So mostly
second
a
layer.
lot of these in the community, they might not even be on those kind of social media channels to even share it. That's another thing.
Absolutely.
I have to share a lot with my people. I've realized with at least a 35 plus on WhatsApp.
On WhatsApp, right?
And then they share it on WhatsApp. Or like my own father is not on LinkedIn and he's a CEO of a company. He's
Right.
like, I'm never going to change jobs. Like, he
Right.
doesn't need it.
Right.
So I find, and that WhatsApp is again not data that I can really collect. I just sort of know that people are reading it via WhatsApp. I know these people are sharing it.
Right.
It's sort of a hit and a miss. Maybe I'm doing it wrong or right. We'll figure that out. But I don't think I can like segregate my data on WhatsApp separately other than other social media. Coming to the second point, say for podcasts like we're doing now, usually podcasts are taking up in India, right? And people on a sort of a 12 to 18 minute podcast, they are willing to listen to 6 to 7 minutes for show. At least that's sort of my research that showed.
Sure, yeah.
So my similar concept is if they're listening to a podcast, they'll just watch a video.
Right.
Geo is giving us that much data.
Right.
We have the traffic.
Right.
We want to learn. So it's audio versus video. I've not divulged into it,
Right.
but it's something that because I can make the content and I have the team, I am doing it and it's working for me.
Yeah. You're doing both though, like audio and video, right?
Yeah, right now we've not even launched our first podcast. So we do it campaign wise. We
Yeah.
don't do offhand like that.
Right.
So we are getting a data privacy campaign with a lawyer on the new bill and what will happen. So those are podcasts because the lawyer himself wanted to do a podcast. We ourselves went a podcast would be better for this kind of because it's too serious for a video to capture.
Yeah,
So that's the way we segregated with campaigns rather than what input or audio video to use it.
But you do have some sort of a soft corner for text as well, right? Like you mentioned that you put some content on email as
Yes,
well.
we have a monthly newsletter. We're
Yeah.
launching it now twice a month.
Right.
So again, because we're not an app,
Yeah.
you won't get a notification. It's mostly for us to even engage our current readership or whatever 500-600 people and going upwards. That hey, we just launched Urban Clap with Raghav Chandra. Did you have a look?
Right.
Key learnings from it or something like that.
So is
It's
text more of a alert/notification tool rather than your primary form of content, or you have not really
a bit of
marked
both.
it?
I'll say a bit of both. I'll
Okay.
say a bit of both. Like the newsletter you'll get in March will be much more valuable to you, and that's
Right.
also because I've added an amazing person in my team
Right.
who can help me with that.
Right.
Up until yesterday, I was doing everything. I was doing coaching, I was handling the events, I was handling the monthly newsletters, the podcasts, and the videos. So it was a little crazy. But now, because I'm, again, and I think I want to invest in people more, right? Content platform, trying to scale it, the scalability. I'd rather not pay for Google ads right now between you and me, but give someone that salary that I would put to Google ads who can create amazing things for me and float better ideas to get better product out.
No, that's interesting, and I think I agree. Like even from that school of thought, sort of more long-term thinking.
Yeah,
right? I mean, I think that
there's just so much out there with bots and this and that. I just want to do it organically. Like,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
it's a delicate balance, right, between tech and sort of organic growth and sort of how you manage your workforce. In terms of people or companies, you aspire or you think are doing similar stuff, or which you look up to, or
competitors.
or put it in plain words, as Nikhil said, competitors. Is there? And you feel free to go as deep as you want in this question. But are there some companies that you look up to?
So I think there's a lot of good content that's come out of India in the last 5 to 6 years. Ken is investigative journalism. They're probably the only ones who've made me pay $3,000 a year
Right.
for content in India. Right? People don't pay for content in India. Newspaper sells for 2 rupees.
Yeah.
Right? Everything else is free. We don't need to pay for content in India. So I think if you're purely, and from what I've heard, again, these are just water cooler chats. Ken isn't making enough revenue.
Right.
They're cutting it. They're making enough to keep sustaining itself. They're not a very profitable company, which is fair enough because they are just doing subscription. They don't do ads. That's their motto. The other half is you start selling ads. You do everything. You promote everything. There's only 2 ways to make money in subscription. That's why you generate different products.
Or have events. No,
Or
okay.
have events, or do something else with it. Or so, and I've spoken to a lot of people. They'll be like, "Look, boss, you'll either start paying for content subscription or you'll start doing ads." And my school of thought was, "Hey, I don't want to do either.
Okay.
Right? Not right now. I want to focus on after when I have that reach targeted ads."
Right.
So the way I'll do is if someone has come up with amazing black coffee and I have the consumers on my platform who will want to know about that black coffee, instead of giving you a pop-up ad of my platform, right, which will hurt your eye, which will be really bad, and 375 rupees, take it now, I'll spotlight them. I'll create a video with them. I'll do a podcast with them. I'll tell them to understand what their brand value, their ethos is. I'll draft a newsletter for them or something.
Yeah.
And I'll tell my consumers this is what it is.
Yeah,
So it's
native.
like more native, more branded insertions.
And I think that's required because again, like a lot of people were discussing this in this event. Also, I went to that millennials, and that's a very wide term, by the way, right? People like to categorize millennials in one box. You can't. Millennials are even my brother who's in San Francisco with a family, with a house, and it's also me, single, living in Delhi, still going to Dear Donna.
Right.
So it's too wide still, right? But at the same time, sorry, what was I saying? I lost my school of thought there.
I think we are talking about monetization and
Yes.
through native ads.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Yeah.
think with millennials, you have a lot of choice.
Right.
What if I can make their choice into something more that they want to actually choose
Right.
rather than something they've just seen somewhere?
Right. But I mean, branded insertions are also kind of, they are, I would say, it's content marketing, right? At the end of the
It is.
day.
I think
It's,
the Ken only wrote an article about Ashoka University.
Right.
And that had to be a paid thing. They're
Right.
doing very well, Ashoka.
Right.
And they did the right thing, but there was a
Right.
full 4,000, 5,000 newsletter on what Ashoka is doing, what are the next steps on education. And they're doing fantastic for
Yeah.
education stuff,
Yeah.
Ashoka. But yeah, that's branding. That's
So do you think Oyo also pays the Ken to get the content in?
well, I don't know. Maybe they're doing it both ways. Everyone's on about Oyo, but I don't think I've ever read a positive article about Oyo. But maybe that's what they're doing it. They're doing it,
I think
reverse psychology.
No, I mean, I think as soon as Oyo fell in the horizon of American journalism.
Ken was like,
No, I mean, like I think that's why all the US companies are also, even like Wall
Yes.
Street Journal and everyone is kind of covering
Yeah.
them now, right? I mean, it's pretty much like Scott Galloway is writing newsletters.
Yeah.
on
Yeah, on Oyo.
So yeah, that's material for a full episode of a podcast.
Yeah.
definitely. Oh, if you want to speak about Oyo, let me know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
We have
we have noted that down.
We've noted that down, and we have another.
I see a very strong collaboration there with some people I know who love to speak about Oyo.
What's like startup bashing?
Yeah, we do that a fair bit sometimes. VC bashing and startup bashing, but
Anuj, I think is another
ideal candidate.
ideal candidate for
Yeah.
that. And
But yeah, coming back to that, so Ken doing really well or decent, like for content in
but
India.
that's not a comp for you, is it?
No.
So who's a comp for you?
So there are a lot of people who are doing different products
Yeah,
and are from.
yeah.
So your story does features of entrepreneurs, right? They're
Right.
doing very well.
Right.
There's FinShots who
Right.
does finance stuff. So there's a lot who are doing bits and bobs.
Right.
And even for business events, there are probably like companies who handle that.
Right.
But there's not a one-stop shop, as you
Right.
say. I have focused a bit on a Western model. I would say
So any company you admire there?
Box Media.
Okay.
Stunning.
Their videos are beautiful, right? I mean,
beautiful. Their website is, they actually base their website on this platform called Chorus, a UI software.
Right.
And now they started leasing it out, but
Right.
only to very few people. You have to
Okay.
actually send a questionnaire
Right.
of why you want to use Coral.
Mm.
It'll be ridiculously expensive, but it's beautiful.
Didn't Vox? I mean, I remember they had when they went live, like way back.
Yeah.
Way back. I think so.
Six.
Few years back, right? And they initially had that idea of Vox cards,
Yeah.
which were like these, like they kind of went into explainer style journalism.
Okay.
In a more.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Vox is pretty much the pioneer of explainer journalism,
Yes.
right?
They call it modern storytelling.
Correct.
Yeah.
So when they kind of went into explainer journalism, they had this kind of mental picture that like you have an article, why don't we have like a card with internal references indexed out? So for instance, if say I am reading something about cannabis being legalized, so I can actually see its history, I can see its origins.
Yeah.
Then in between there's some op-ed which is linked to that. I can see that as well. So one
it's a
consolidated.
holistic, yeah.
So it was a very kind of it was too ambitious actually as a idea in terms of executing it.
Especially when you're starting out.
You can still see Vox cards, legacy links online.
Okay.
But then I think after that they went deep dive into videos and focused on more.
Yeah, so they're doing a host of things. They
Yeah.
have a thing called Festival where they do like live things. They have entertainment. They have New York they have a host, but it's just, I think it's a stunning media company, and they're the way, so the Barack Obama interviews they do, you can see it. So they also create content and all, which you sometimes see on Netflix and Hulu and all as well.
Yeah.
I think it's just fantastic what they're doing. I think you definitely need to scale in terms of team. You need a good team and obviously eventually investor backing. But I think that would be my goal for India. I want to change media and I say edtech as well, but modern media. I want to get modern media.
Modern
to
media
India.
excluding news as well.
As of now, yes. I don't want to get into news. I think there's a lot of news out there already.
Yeah.
And then trying to demarcate into what's right and not right. Like we started the episode with, right? Like you're just, even I go to the Press Trust Information Bureau, the website, and then only pick up the things, the articles that are on it are been trusted to be verified.
Right.
Then only we write about it. We first go if that article is on that PTI website. Otherwise, we don't even pick up that article for our newsletter.
Right. And in terms of the way, I saw that there were some fairly distinguished people on your site who are listed as mentors.
Yeah, our experts.
But how do you kind of structure that dialogue in a sustainable manner? I mean, just giving a number doesn't help, does it?
No, it's very hard.
I mean, these are very busy people, I assume.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the key we face. Why I only launch these expert content, as I say, every Friday.
Right.
Is firstly because obviously I can't get these people come, let's have a cup of coffee and record something.
Right.
So that's why it's quality over quantity as well. But having said that, we're prepared for our content till April.
Right.
We've done enough shoots. Till April we're sorted and we're in February.
Okay.
So we work way backwards. Way backwards.
And today, most of it is time neutral stuff.
Yes,
so you
today when I'm focusing on getting content out of an ex-person, that I've already given him 1.5 months to not respond to me. Then another month of follow-up and then I launch it.
But anything that comes from the demand side, are there guys who come to you that, we need to get some insight on this particular area?
I've got a lot of people who started wanting to collaborate now as well. And smaller companies who are doing really good in what they're doing. And we are running a campaign with, say, one of them. There's this company called Run by Two Girls, CA Experts. They're trying to put accounting all online. They have WhatsApp groups created. They have CAs sitting on their WhatsApp group so you can know about your filings instantly. They're trying to cut off the paperwork. And we're launching a very cool bookkeeping, accounting campaign with them on knowing your top filings for young companies, knowing your basics of accounting, knowing your basics of GST. I know GST, but I can't have over a 5-minute conversation on GST.
So is it is taxation something that people are really caring about, or is it personal finance? Is it investing?
I think it's a bit on where there is information asymmetry,
right?
Where there's jargon, which they are scared of, where they won't.
That's true in all of these domains, no? I mean, is there something that people are more concerned about, right?
I think what the concern comes is if they are knowledgeable enough to know what's upcoming.
Right.
So if you speak to someone in the biz and finance sector, they will be concerned on data because they know the new data protection bill is coming. Right. They will be like, okay, wait, how much will it cost me? What will I need to be doing? Am I doing it right? So that is something which people will want to hear about.
Right.
Moreover, so it's more organic on people coming to events, going, if they've come to an incubator accelerator event and they wanted to learn a bit more, yes, we'll definitely take it into account. But like I said, our calendar's set. The first year we're focusing on our audience being learned enough to know what GST is and basics of it, but not a deep dive. So firstly, I just want to give out that couple of topics that I'll tell you what, I'm doing topics on what even I don't know about.
Got it.
Enough. That's the first thing I want to focus on. I know about wealth management, but I don't know very details on wealth management. I know GST, how it applies to me, my company. But if you tell me to actually make you understand a bit more nuanced version, I won't be able to, I'll be honest. So firstly, I want to focus on, because I feel my target audience is someone like me.
Right.
Someone who's been in the law firms or been in a Deloitte or an EY, my age group.
Right. But in terms of, looking at the future, you look at like right now you're pretty razor sharp focused on like business and finance, and within that also like some certain subsectors, right?
Yes.
Be it taxation or be it money management, and so on.
Money management is a key one. Yeah.
So going forward, let's take this like 5 years from now.
Right.
And is the idea to go deeper and deeper into these two domains?
Okay.
Or is the idea to actually pick up like, I don't know, lifestyle or health or
like
fitness?
What Box is doing.
I mean, like, how are you viewing it?
Breadth versus depth conundrum, right?
This is the investor question, guys. 5 years from now, when
5 years from now, yes, exactly.
Okay. So because I've gone and met so many investors already, I've been privileged enough. I don't have a 5-year plan. I'm probably the first person to say something like that. I'm okay to say it.
Right.
I have a 1-year plan.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I have a 6-month plan. I have shorter goals for me because I'm very okay if my product changes a bit after it. What if I just want to scale the coaching? What if I just want to scale the events?
Right.
Content will always be there for whatever, and I think after a year only, I'll understand if my videos are getting more hits or my podcasts are getting more hits and in what topic. We do focus a bit on health and wellness already, but to do with business stress management. Business productivity, business health and wellness. So we have psychologists on board who sort of write articles, and we'll do some podcasts now and then on, how in today's sort of this kind of life slave environment, which we used to call in Indian law firms a slave environment. You don't get holidays, you're working 9 to 5 a.m. And, you're supposed to still like be able to raise kids and be able to, eat healthy, but how are you actually coping up with that?
Right.
And we found it very, so we approached a couple of corporates to do stress management workshops, and this was around when the cafe coffee day owner also sort of committed suicide and all. So a lot of this actually happens in India, but a lot of them don't even want to call it in their workshop. They want to stay away from words depression in their workshop. You were actually told on email that let's not use these words, and I was like, but this is happening, and it's happening the most in India. Like your international companies, your international counterpart is doing it on World Mental Health Day. It's happening in London and New York and everywhere. But in India, people don't want to do that stuff. Right. And which is amazing to me, because I feel in India it exists, the stigma is so strongly there. And it's sort of almost said as weak, right? If you're crying in office, it's weak. You're showing emotions. But hey, Sheryl Sandberg cries a lot all the time. She lost her husband. She's the CEO of Facebook, so whatever.
Cry on.
Yeah, cry on.
But I mean, it's interesting that in terms of like from a planning perspective, you're taking a kind of incremental plan of action, so as to say, to kind of test it before you kind of commit to it.
Validate it.
But like when you're talking about like health and fitness already coming in, was the decision based on some inbound interest? Or was the decision based on the fact that, like we are kind of had that same conundrum that when we were like too focused on finance or business, then you realize that, people who read about business also don't mind reading about other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there are like, there are intense periods of the day when you want to, go deep into analytical stuff, but there are times when you just want to read about, if I have to like go for a keto diet, how to kick off.
Exactly.
That balance.
We spoke about keto diet actually in our event. Yeah. It did well.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So so is that the reason in terms of is it thanks to incoming interest that you went in that direction, or it was more a question of giving a balance?
Two things. I think the women in business arena really wants to know more about health and wellness. Right. And in my aspect to my aged people too. So it worked well with events. Right. So I did physical workshops and that did really well. So I was like, let's produce some content on it. Right. And secondly, I just feel, so honestly, I wanted to even do a legal head, business, finance, health and wellness. And then I was told by a couple of mentors, and I took it very seriously, that first focus on a couple of things. Get yourself known with that. And then you sort of go umbrella and go all out.
That's why you don't have any thematic filter on your product, right? I mean, you put a filter of format. Like you're saying events, you're not saying what type of events.
Business and
I mean,
finance, health
yeah, I
and
mean,
wellness.
like it's one layer after that,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
agreed. You're
because
right.
I guess there's
because there could be something.
It's kind of open ended, right?
It is a
At this
little.
stage.
But like I said, business itself is such an open-ended term. There's a
Right.
reason I've used it.
Right.
Maybe it'll work for me, maybe not. We can
Right.
do phase 2 podcast in a year.
Right.
And I'll tell you all about my
Right.
mistakes and my learnings out of it.
Yeah.
But business itself can cover so much. It can tell you how to hire and fire right, whereas
Right.
it can also tell you on your 5-year or 10-year growth plan or how to
Right.
build a proper plan, right? But there's just a lot you can cover. And I think till the time I don't get that right, why, let's just start small.
Sure.
And
Understood.
so yeah, no, listen, Dialogue Room is fascinating, and it's really cool, and there's definitely a market void, right, that it serves. What about your experience of just running a business? Like at the end of the day, I mean, irrespective of what
And this is a
business
6-7 month old
Yeah,
thing,
so
so
how-
you're pretty raw
yeah,
into
it's
it.
been-
how has that been, and sort of what are your views on that? And people are going to be listening to this podcast, and they're going to pick a few things, right?
I feel like if like my ex-lawyer friends are listening to it, they'll be like, oh my god, so cool, she finally decided to quit
Right.
and become an entrepreneur. That's
Right.
what every slave corporate lawyer wants to do, because we're
Right.
raising funds for the Paytm.
Right,
And
right.
like, what if one day we can have a Paytm?
Right.
And today I want to tell all of them, I used to probably cry once a week
Right.
in an Amar Chand or Khaitan setting. And not because they were Amar Chand or Khaitan, just because it's hard, right?
Right,
Whatever,
right.
stress. I probably cry every second day.
Right.
And in it's more of stress reliever
Right.
than like, oh my god, I can't do this.
Right.
And I think that's
right.
okay. Like, I don't care.
Right.
Uh,
Cheryl Sandberg, so it's okay.
Yeah. I'm
Kind of,
very okay with like, I take it out.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me shout at my employees. It
Right.
doesn't make me a bad person with my parents. I take it out and I'm like, okay, great, good day.
Right.
Let's start the day now.
Right.
But I think it has been extremely hard.
Right.
I know when people say starting a startup, it's hard and it's a hustle. But Jesus, I had to be in it to realize
Yeah.
the amount I've learned in the
Yeah.
last 6 months, I didn't learn in my last 3 to 4 years as a corporate lawyer.
Right.
Very different learnings, from understanding overpaying for a website to even when like I had to let go of my first employee and why.
Right.
And you learn so many different facets of your own self,
Right.
and you're doing so many things at a time.
Right.
I think everyone should be an entrepreneur for a
Mm.
year and a half. Put some savings, something,
Mhm.
and learn something out of it and go back to your old job and whatever. You'll be able to bring so many more skills in your old job if you try to run something on your own.
Mm.
Because you're not just managing a product, you're managing people, product, customers, clients, growth, investment, funding.
Hmm.
There's just so much you're doing, and I don't even have a co-founder.
Right.
I think the learnings are just crazy. And
But I mean, like, there are obviously some myths in your mind which got busted pretty quickly as soon as
very,
you got
very,
in.
very,
right?
very quickly.
And there must have been
It's
some,
not a cool life. It's not
Yeah.
a startup life.
Right.
No. Very quickly.
and there might have also been some positive surprises, right?
Definitely.
So-
So yeah, like I just have a little puppy. He's
Right.
50 days old.
Right.
I just got him yesterday. So I knew I had to spend breakfast and like almost till 12 p.m. with him. I
Right.
wanted to bathe him. I wanted to make sure he's comfortable in the house. So I know like I started work at 12. I'll work a little bit at night, or I'll pick it more grunt work tomorrow. I can't do that in a punch in, punch out job, right? Because over there, they don't give you that sort of skill in knowing that, look, you're an adult, you know there's work to be done, and you'll do it in your own time. They want to make sure you're chained to your desk, even if you're having a bad day or you're not feeling well, where you will be unproductive if you've not slept. Whereas when you can go home, get some rest, and do the work quicker. Because it's just that system in India that
So
punch in,
obviously,
punch
like,
out.
obviously, the
Flexibility.
realization that you are your own boss and it's okay if you go in a bit late and
Yeah,
work for
that
longer.
helps.
That was a positive surprise. What
Definitely.
else?
But then I let my employees do the same.
Right.
Today, one of my, person who came in, she came in late because her car broke down.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
car broke down.
Right.
But whatever reason she came in or came in late, I'm happy with that because she's still working really well the whole day.
Right.
So it doesn't matter.
But I mean, it's also a question of like when you are say like looking at corporate law. I mean, I'm assuming that you're razor sharp focused again on something, right? I mean, on acquisition of clients or on pitching or whatever, right?
No.
But right now, it's so many other things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, like for instance, like for me, like personally, the biggest kind of adjustment was that I had complete disdain for human resource managers when
Yeah.
I was working in a big corporate, and suddenly I have a tremendous respect for at least the good ones. I mean, I'm not saying that all of them are good, but I mean at least the good ones. Suddenly you realize that things like payroll or admin, those are also very
Yeah,
very
it
things
is.
like comps and benefits and incentives.
When you hire an intern, if the computer is not there this
Yeah.
first day, you suddenly at that time you took it for granted.
So which was the which other streams of work in entrepreneurship did you suddenly realize that okay, yeah, these are very important things that I have to now care about?
I think for me, it's definitely been the people.
Right.
The people, because I don't have a co-founder. I think
Right.
it sort of helps. Maybe took it from that.
Mm.
But when I realized strong mindsets were, so it's a hiring and firing. Firstly, it's about the people who can hire the right people in an organization. Oh my
Right.
God, hats off to them.
Yeah.
I think hiring right now in India is very hard.
Very challenging, right?
Very, very challenging. You have to post on at least 5-6 Facebook groups. You pay on LinkedIn. You ask family and friends. It's like, you want that right driver in the house sometimes. You go like, I need a driver. It's almost just like that. I hired so many people who kept leaving me for no reason. Then kept like, it's I think hiring. People who can
Okay.
hire right, and actually those sort of talent management team. And I'm not saying someone will just pick up the phone going like, do you want a job? Who actually can do that due diligence. And it gets me to that movie on Justin Timberlake and Friends with Benefits, where she was that
Sharon
head.
is a Justin Timberlake fan here.
Yeah, so
I have no idea.
Who is that? Is that Justin Bieber's brother?
oh
Bieber's
god,
brothers,
yeah,
yes.
sure. Yeah, they don't-
Friends with benefits. I think it has.
She was a
that-
headhunter, right? And she was a very curator. She made him swap jobs from California to GQ New York.
Mila Kunis, right?
Yes, oh my
Actually,
God,
I do
Mila
know.
Kunis.
Yeah, I've not seen the movie.
Yeah, again,
Suddenly I realized
Yeah.
my appreciation for
The
Mila
fan
Kunis.
in you was coming out.
appreciation for Mila, nobody
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, very strong. This thing on if I could afford anything and anyone in the next run,
Right.
I know I need the right people to grow.
Right.
If you don't have the right people, you need money, but where will that money go? Either salaries or equipment or office space, or mostly those things that it go on. If I could get the right kind of headhunters and all who could like be tracking that, okay, this is an editor and this working in BuzzFeed who'd be a great fit for Dialogue Room and they've left BuzzFeed now, you should get them.
Right.
Because trying for me to get someone that specific might take years. I might not even get to reach out to the Rega Jars of the world. She's with BuzzFeed. She was with BuzzFeed. Someone like Rega on Dialogue Room would add value to Dialogue Room, which will help Dialogue Room grow exponentially, which it wouldn't otherwise.
I mean, that kind of, brings me back to the way this thing started, right? I mean, this is quite different from what you were doing earlier, right?
Very,
There's not a lot of overlap between the two. You must have seen some sort of a pain point, some sort of a use case. Like, it must be a moment when you thought, okay, I need to... I know you also have a history of, I think, you're quite active on social media.
Yes.
You're blogging, so all those
Yes,
things are
I've
also
been a
happening.
writer. I've been a published writer, actually.
Right.
I wrote a lot of law articles in the UK as well.
Right.
For magazines. I did a lot of defense work, oddly. So I
Right.
did a lot of articles.
So, I mean, these things never I think, when it comes to formalized story making of how someone came up with their idea, there's usually that eureka moment, but typically in real life, that's not how it works,
No,
right?
it doesn't.
It's
No,
quite, it kind of spans over a fair bit
So
of time.
I'll give you a more cliche on that. I come from a media family background, and I
Okay.
never thought I'll go into it.
Right.
My father would be telling me his whole life, you will be an editor of a magazine or something one day.
Right.
And I was not getting either the space or the need or just didn't want to. And so I just decided to create a very modern magazine for myself to edit. But
Right.
I think it was always one of those things that I felt I would be good at,
Right.
but I didn't have the confidence to do it.
Right.
I think I wanted to earn a lot of money before I do it. And when I mean a lot, it's not a lot to buy a house in Magnolias, obviously, nobody can. But it's a lot for me personally.
Right.
It was a lot of wealth for what I needed because I was living in my parents' house.
Got it.
I have a portfolio, I got to save a lot. So when I could get that right, I was like, okay, wait, I have some money now. What can I do with it? B, I wanted a lot of knowledge. I wasn't very happy with my schooling, like public schools here. I think law was just a fantastic degree to have. It teaches you so much, and more than that, it teaches you hard work. Working at these law firms has also been a privilege. I know I, say a lot about it, but you learn a lot at the end of the day. Once I realized that I'm solid enough, that's when I think I took the leap. So there was a eureka moment when I realized I have done my 50th due diligence and, not much will come out of it. Now this is the time that I was about to get promoted to senior associate. That means putting in 10 more hours for 10% increment.
Right.
I wasn't willing to do that.
Right.
Someone actually told me from what I was earning, they were like, I have a friend who sells bed covers and makes that much money a month. And that was my eureka moment. I was like, whoa, I work 18 hours a day. I don't have time to breathe. I used to not wash my hair for sometimes 5 days because I didn't have time. dry shampoo all the way. Like you
That's
guys
the
will
story of
not
my
understand
life.
that.
But obviously, I have much lesser hair.
You guys
so
will not
anyways.
understand that, the pain that comes from it. But that was my eureka moment when I realized someone is selling bed covers and
Right.
making the amount of money I was. And I know there's a cap again. You can only earn as much in India in these sort of law firm settings. You will not make equity partner here. You could make junior partner after 10 years. And even the junior partner salaries are not worth slaving for 10 years.
Well, you just demotivated a
Bunch
kind
of lawyer
a
listeners.
fleet
Guys,
of
yeah, I'm a
lawyers.
career changer helper, so that you know.
Yeah.
No, but they themselves say it.
Right.
I'm not, they themselves say they
Right.
all say that if I was good at anything else,
Right.
I would do that.
Right.
So they all say
A
it.
lot of people living in ignorance or
I was asking Divya about the market gap. She is creating the gap while we are recording the podcast. So
the market has exponentially increased in the last 1 hour.
right.
Yay, this is called organic growth, guys.
Right. So, is there anything? I think we'll kind of close this with the most interesting question, which we usually throw.
Oh my god, I'm a little like.
What keeps you up at night, if anything? Dry
wow.
shampoo aside.
What keeps me up at night? I don't sleep a lot. I'm a night bird anyways. Usual things. Right now my puppy.
Okay.
But oddly, what keeps me up at night are my brother and sister-in-law because they live in San Francisco and that's the
Right.
only time I get to speak to them when it's late at night.
Right.
And my sister is a bit chatty and she loves to chat.
Right.
So cliched, but I would say family. As much as I
Work doesn't keep you up at night.
I always work, but I try to not disturb my employees after a certain time. So even if I send them a WhatsApp message or a Slack message,
Right.
it's okay for them to review it. As I make sure when I leave the office or the day's end, work for the next 4 days is already sorted. So there can't be, other than my website crashing, with the website people will get a call. I don't try to disturb my
But from a
employees.
business standpoint, are there are there any?
My brain is constantly on.
anxieties.
Yeah, my brain is constantly on. So if even I'm watching Netflix and I like the way a documentary was shot and what camera angles have they used or they've added this to it. So Karan Johar, he started a new reality TV show on Netflix, What the Love or something like that. It's really bad. Don't watch it. But I was just very interested on, okay, wait, Netflix documentary is really exploding. He's already had so much money with Coffee with Karan, so he definitely decided to get into that. So then I started like researching and I started like reading things and all of that. So my brain is constantly on. I went scuba diving to Havelock Islands 3 months ago. I saw the color of the corals and I was like, ooh, that's a really cool color for my website.
Okay.
That's how much my brain is on, which is not a good thing. But work.
So you're up all the time.
I sleep at like 2 or 3 a.m. and I wake up at like 8.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so pretty much the law hours then.
Thank you for the black coffee transfer.
No, I think this was very interesting, Sharad.
Yeah.
I think we ended up taking a fair number of segues as expected.
As we always do.
Yeah, like you guys really dug deep. Like I was scared of some answers.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh okay. No, I had a ball obviously asking the
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm gonna now be able to make my business plan and listen when I listen to this recording.
Oh, perfect.
No,
Perfect.
good. Yeah. No, it was.
That's a great selling point for you guys.
yeah,
You
I
ask
mean-
the right questions which will help you
Let-
evolve
let-
your own
business plan creation
Business
is
plan
another thing we do.
creation as a use case for the podcast. There you go. Right.
Noted it down. No, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure, and we always when we have an eclectic mix of guests and people who come here, and it's always good to learn about new businesses and new opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, if shout out to all our listeners, do search for Transfin Podcasts on all the exciting apps out there, JioSaavn, Google Podcasts, Apple, and hit subscribe so that you get that nice little notification every time an episode goes live. Definitely drop in your feedback on this particular episode, the podcast in general. If you want to get in touch with Divya, give us a shout out as well, and the other way around. I hope that also kind of comes in.
Yeah, definitely.
And this was a lot of fun. So I think it's time to sign off. This is Nikhil Arora
This is Sharad Tupran.
signing off.